Woo! Okay. All right. Looks like we're live. Let me see if it's up on the YouTube side. Nope. 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 Not there yet. Not there yet. Wait a minute. Let's see. First time going live on a new channel. Got to get all the tech kinks out. Come on. Come on. Where did they go? Where did they go? Okay. Let me refresh again. Are we good? What do all the tech kinks out? Boom. All right. We are live. We are here. First time on the brand new Bears Yard new YouTube channel. Although this channel's been up for a while now, but I have not really put content out on here like that. But I've been a Bears fan for as long as I can remember, pretty much my entire life. And I'm like, you know what? It is time for me to get in here and talk about everything that's happened with the Bears recently, because there's a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna talk about a lot. You know, this channel only has at the moment 9 subscribers, so I don't know who is gonna see this live stream. If anybody's gonna see this live stream, it's fine. It is optimized, so it should show up on the YouTube search engines or whatever. There might be some replays. I don't know. I don't care. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. I am gonna put I'm gonna put some tweets out here and do that real quick to let people know that we are live for those that want to rock out and do that on the YouTube. All right, let's see. If I can type correctly, that'd be great. But yeah, it looks like we are working on the thing. We are working. All right, come hang. Come on. Okay, that's that. Now I need to figure out where my my chat box is here with this Ecamm thing. I am using Ecamm tonight, and where is my chat box? I don't know. But obviously, the big thing. I mean, I'm not gonna make you hold you all hostage. Big thing, obviously, this week is that Matt Eberflus got fired, and it was a long time coming. Frankly, I don't know how this didn't happen last year. We all called for Matt Eberflus to be fired in January, but for whatever reason, Matt Eberflus did not get fired in January. Ryan Poles felt the need to bring that man back. Ooh, I wish he didn't do that. But the thing about it is, you don't know if Ryan Poles was forced to like bring Matt Eberflus back, but it sounds like from everything that we've heard that Ryan Poles wanted Matt back for the 2024-25 season. And he brought Matt Eberflus back, even though we were going to draft Caleb Williams. And, you know, a lot of us wanted to get the coach and the quarterback on the same timeline, but Ryan Poles felt the need to bring Eberflus back because we did end the 2023 season with a little momentum. We won 7 games, lost 10. The team won a few games at the end of the season. So I guess that allowed Ryan Poles to feel comfortable enough to bring Matt Eberflus back. But we warned him, fam. Did we not warn that man? Don't bring him back. You're going to end up firing him anyway at the end of the next season. And what? He didn't even last. Didn't even last to the end of the year. He got fired Friday. So, woof. That is a hit on Ryan Poles because he didn't listen to the people. He didn't listen to what the things that were right there in his face. He did not listen, and he brought that man back and ended up firing him 12 games into the season. And now here we are. Thomas Brown is the interim head coach. But why did Matt Eberflus get fired? I mean, come on, man. The dude had a record of 14-32 in the 2.5 years that he was head coach of the Chicago Bears. He was like 2-16 or something or whatever, or 2-19, whatever. He had a terrible record in one score game. His situational awareness as a head coach was atrocious, probably the worst that anybody has ever seen on an NFL level ever. I mean, you got high school coaches that can coach better than Matt Eberflus does at the end of a football game. The egregious, just ridiculous lack of focus on his part to not call a timeout at the end of the Detroit game was just the latest in a long line of blunders that Matt Eberflus has perpetuated, or whatever the case, whatever word I'm looking for. It's up to him. That's his fault. You're the head coach. You can't go out there and blame a rookie quarterback for not being situationally aware when you are the one that has the power to call the timeout. How do you see all of that confusion and people not knowing what's going on for that last 30-something seconds of the Lions game, and you don't even call a timeout. Of course, you're going to get fired. Because that was the fifth loss in a row, I think. The fifth or sixth loss in a row. No, that was the sixth loss in a row. Because we were at 4-2, and now we're 4-8. The sixth loss in a row. The last five of them were like by almost like the 5 or 6 of them were by one. I think were by one score. I mean, damn, you lost all 3 divisional games by 1 score or less because you were in Matt Eberflus in some way, shape, or form. You lost the Lions game because you failed to call a timeout when it was needed, when there was confusion, and then you let the time run out even though you had a timeout in your pocket. Then we go to the Minnesota game. You could have gotten closer to make a field goal, but you decided to play for the field goal at that range, and it ended up getting blocked. And then, wait a minute. I'm getting confused. I'm talking about the Packer game. Hold on. Now I've got to get my thoughts together. So the Minnesota game basically was what happened in the Minnesota game? We went to overtime with Minnesota. The defense, your defensive play calling in the Minnesota game. That's what cost us that. See, there's so much going on, Matt Eberflus. I can't keep track of it all, right? So in the Minnesota game, Caleb Williams brings the Bears back, sends the game into overtime somehow, which is crazy to even think about, considering where that game was headed and how it ended up. But we ended up going into overtime with Minnesota. The offense doesn't do anything, and then Matt Eberflus and his defensive play calling just let Minnesota pretty much march down the field because they kept playing that soft zone coverage, and Minnesota was getting chunk yards, and ultimately they ended up kicking a field goal to win the game. And then the one that I was actually talking about, but I was kind of lost track of my thought here, the Green Bay game where the Bears are marching down the field at the end of the fourth quarter, but you got time left so you can go get more yards. But Matt Eberflus, because he's so scared and he didn't want anything to happen, kicked a 40-something yard field goal that got blocked when you could have got closer and made it easier for Cairo to kick the field goal. Not to mention you kicked it off the wrong hash. You kicked the field goal off the left hash when in comfort zone it's on the right hash. And it's just a situational comedy of errors that led to where the Bears are now at 4-8. But as it relates to this season, the big brouhaha, the big linchpin, the event that started the snowball was the Hail Mary in Washington. And the way that Matt Eberflus chose to defend that series of plays led to Jaden Daniels throwing a Hail Mary that eventually got caught, and the Bears lose the game in regulation because of a Hail Mary pass. But the play before the Hail Mary, Matt Eberflus thought that giving up a 13-yard pass didn't matter because he played for the Hail Mary, but when in actuality, the 13 yards before that helped make Washington's job easier for them to be able to go and throw a Hail Mary. Because if you don't give up the 13 yards, then Jaden Daniels throws a Hail Mary and it doesn't even get close to the end zone. Because the Hail Mary that he actually threw landed like 5 yards short of the end zone. It just got tipped. But had you not given him that 13 yards, you would have made the Hail Mary attempt a lot harder. But for whatever reason, Matt Eberflus felt like those 13 yards did not matter. And he gave up the 13 yards. And then we know what happened next. And then it all went downhill from there. You know, when we watched Hard Knocks this summer with the Bears, Ryan Poles said that the players know. The players know when other players aren't putting in their work. The players know when coaches are full of you-know-what. The players know. And the players, after blunder by Matt Eberflus, the players knew that he was not the guy. The players knew real quick after that Washington game that Matt Eberflus was not a competent coach. The players knew that it was time to go in a different direction. Yeah, you fired Shane Waldron, basically used him as a scapegoat, but we all knew what the real problem was. Everybody knew it. It was never Shane Waldron. It was Matt Eberflus. And it took the players literally going off on him before Ryan Poles, George McCaskey, and Kevin Warren finally got the gall to fire that man. It basically 12 games too late because he never should have been back there to begin with. But here we are. You had to fire him. The player basically left you no choice but to fire that man. So he finally got fired. And now now we can finally look to a bright future for the team, and we'll see what happens next. And here we go. But Matt Eberflus is fired. He's out of there. And now we move to Thomas Brown. And we'll see what Thomas Brown does for the next 5 games. I am rooting for Thomas Brown. The players seem to love him. He has a presence on camera. The relationship that he's building with Caleb seems to be going well so far. The last 3 games have been remarkably better than back when Shane Waldron was calling the plays. And this is what it is. So now we have Thomas Brown, who now has 5 games to pretty much audition to be considered for the next head coach permanently of the Chicago Bears. Now, there's a lot of people saying that Thomas Brown shouldn't even be considered this, that, era. That's ignorant. Thomas Brown is a viable head coach candidate. He's had 3 head coaching interviews before he got to the Bears. But when he was with Sean McVay and the Rams, he got promoted to be the assistant head coach with Sean McVay because Sean McVay thought so highly of him. I mean, there's a video clip out there of Sean McVay talking about Thomas Brown's promotion to head coach now after the Eberflus firing. You should definitely go check that out if you haven't. But Sean McVay, who we all know is a competent, very well-respected head coach, speaks glowingly of Thomas Brown. The league views Thomas Brown as a very smart, bright young man who is going to be a head coach. He is going to be a head coach in this league sooner rather than later. And with the openings that are going to come up next year, it might be next year. So, he is absolutely a head coach candidate, and the Bears would be foolish not to give him an audition to see if he can turn the team around in the next 5 games so you can give him more serious consideration. Again, it doesn't mean that the job is his because the Bears are still going to conduct a thorough coaching search anyway, and they should. Even if Thomas Brown destroys everybody for the next 5 games and the Bears win them all, the Bears should still go out there and conduct a thorough coaching search. Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Ted Moken, or whatever his last name is, Joe Brady, Liam Cohen, all the names. Bill Belichick. I mean, I guess you could talk to him, but I would not take him seriously. I would not even consider Bill Belichick. No. But all of those big time names that are out there, hell, if you can get an interview with Dan Lanning from Oregon, although he'll be at the bottom of my list, but kind of hard not to talk to him considering what he's done in Oregon. No Ryan Day. No, thank you. No, we don't want that here. And anybody that you think that will be a good head coach for the Bears team, you have to go talk to them come January. Now, I think people like Vrabel and other coaches that are out there now, you can go talk to them, but obviously the Ben Johnsons and the other coordinators that are in season, you can't talk to them until their season's over with. So you might have to wait a little longer on stuff like that. But I don't care. I don't care how long it takes. Ryan Poles has to get this right, okay? You got to get it right. There is no way you can rush this head coaching search because Ryan Poles, your whole job and legacy as GM is on the line. Again, I don't care if Thomas Brown crutches. I'm rooting for Thomas Brown. I hope he does well. But even if he does well, you have to conduct a full, thorough coaching search. You got to turn over every rock. You got to look under every car, every crevice, every possibility that is out there. You got to figure it out, Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren, because this is the most important coaching hire in the franchise's history. You have to get it right. There is no getting this wrong. You have to hit a home run. You got to get it right. So whoever that is, we need to examine all possibilities, okay? Even though I don't want Bill Belichick, you got to interview him, I guess, if he wants to interview. I don't want no part of Bill Belichick, but you got to talk to him, okay? You should have talked to Jim Harbaugh last year. I don't understand. Now, there's this whole thing about how the McCaskey don't want anybody with that big of a personality. That's a bunch of BS, okay? You go out there and you get the best head coach you could possibly get. I don't care if you don't like him. The point is not to like him. The point is for him to win games for your organization so you can stop being the laughingstock of the entire damn NFL in the country. Do you like how this feels right now, McCaskey? Do you like people making fun of you because you held on to Matt Eberflus for half a season too long? Do you like being the Dallas Cowboys of the Midwest? Because that's what we are right now. Well, we were until we fired Eberflus, but that's what we were becoming real quick. The Dallas Cowboys of the Midwest. But now we have gotten rid of the arbitrage in the organization. We have gotten rid of Eberflus, and now we can look forward we can be positive. We can actually enjoy the season now because Thomas Brown is the interim head coach, and now he can go out there and put his stamp on this team. Again, I don't know if Thomas Brown's going to have a legitimate shot to be head coach. I hope they consider him. I hope they consider him. But if he, as DJ Moore said, shit the bed, holding past 5 games, obviously, they still might talk to him, but they won't give him serious consideration. Although, there is one thing that I think Thomas Brown's going to get interviewed he's going to get interviewed regardless, just because of one reason and one reason only. Thomas Brown's going to get an interview from the Bears because it will meet the Rooney Rule. And you hate to say it. You hate to say it, but you have to understand how this stuff works. The Rooney Rule states that any NFL team with a head coach opening has to interview at least one minority candidate. So it doesn't really matter how Thomas Brown does. He's going to get interviewed just for the Bears to fulfill the Rooney Rule. Period. It's going to happen. Like, don't get mad at me, man. I'm just telling you how it works. That's the easiest interview the Bears can knock out immediately. He's already in the building. You're giving him an audition. Actually, he might be the first head coach interview regardless, so the Rooney Rule is fulfilled. So I predict that Thomas Brown will be the first person they interview for the head coaching gig in January or whatever the case they may be. At season end, he will be the first person interviewed because it will immediately meet the Rooney Rule. And then they will go into their thorough coaching search. Now, hopefully, again, assuming that he does well, Thomas Brown will get a serious look to be the next head coach. But again, every stone has to be unturned. You cannot mess this up. You have Caleb Williams, the franchise's best quarterback that it's ever had. Even right now, I will go down there right now. Even right now, 12 games in, Caleb Williams is the best quarterback the Bears have ever had. You cannot mess this up. You are on his rookie contract. You got 4 years with a 5th-year option. You need to find a head coach that can lead the team to the Super Bowl because you are in a Super Bowl window now. You have enough talent to make a playoff run. You should have made the playoffs this year, but Matt Eberflus happened. So that chance is out the window. Nothing short of a miracle now will put the Bears in the playoffs, okay? The Bears will automatically have to win out the rest of their game. So that would bring them to 9-8. And then you got to get lucky and get a lot of help. But I don't think the Bears are making the playoffs. Like, it'll be divine intervention if the Bears were to make the playoffs this year. I don't see it happening. But again, you got to uncover every stone, fam. You got to talk to everybody because this is too important to half-ass it. You cannot half-ass the coaching hire. So, Thomas Brown, like I said, he's been around college. I think he's from the University of Georgia. He used to be a running back for Georgia. He's been around different colleges and had assistant roles at different colleges. He's had multiple different assistant roles in the NFL. He was with the Rams. He was with the Carolina Panthers. Now he's with the Bears. I think he was with a couple other teams or whatever. So he has a lot of coaching experience, not head coaching experience, obviously, but he's had a lot of assistant coaching experience throughout his job career. So I think that is why he is relating to and getting such a good review from the players right now because he's been around enough organizations to know that this is what you do, this is what you don't do, and he kind of found his own style, and now we get to see how he is as the acting head coach of the Bears for the next 5 weeks. Also, I know there was some thought that I saw some or heard some rumblings out there that this will be Caleb Williams' third play caller this season. No, it won't. Thomas Brown is still calling plays, okay? Yes, he's the head coach, but he will still be the primary play caller on offense. So y'all need to pump the brakes, chill out. Thomas Brown is calling plays. It's cool. Calm down, okay? Obviously, he won't be able to sit up in the booth no more because you can't be a head coach in the booth. You got to be on the sideline to maximize that effective communication between players, referees, and all that stuff. So he's going to have to come out of the booth. So we get to see more camera time on Thomas Brown starting with the San Francisco game here next week. But, he's calling the plays. He's not going to delegate play calling. And people were talking about how this is going to hinder Caleb's development. I don't think so. No, it's not. Because even though Thomas Brown will have to oversee the entire team now, Richard Hightower is still going to handle special teams. Eric Washington is still going to handle the defense. Thomas Brown will still be primarily focused on the offense. Yes, he'll have to make operational decisions and different things like that, but by and large, the other departments will be handled by Hightower and Washington. Thomas Brown's not going to get mixed up in that stuff. Why would he? Thomas Brown is not going to do anything that is going to waste Thomas Brown's time. Like Thomas Brown has a capable staff of handling their job. The current staff will have to be elevated and do more than what they were doing beforehand now that Eberflus is gone. But they're grown men and women. They can handle it. Jennifer King out there doing her thing. She's in the running back room or whatever. She'll have to step up and handle a bigger role too. But Thomas Brown is not going to be too worked, I don't think, because I'm pretty sure they planned this all out. Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, Thomas Brown probably planned this all out to make sure that he's not overwhelmed. So I think in that regard, he will be just fine. And everybody's worried about Caleb's development being stunted by this. Caleb Williams is working with Kerry Joseph more than he was ever working with Thomas Brown, because Kerry Joseph is the actual quarterback coach. I don't know why people think that, oh my God, Thomas Brown's not going to have much time with Caleb. Thomas Brown is the offensive coordinator. He runs the entire offense. But Kerry Joseph is the one that is handling Caleb Williams day to day. Kerry Joseph is Caleb's quarterback coach. That is the guy that you need to maintain that relationship with Caleb. It's not Thomas Brown. Now, yes, Thomas Brown has to have a relationship with Caleb because he is calling the offensive plays, but it's not as tight as the relationship that Caleb has with Kerry Joseph, because Kerry Joseph is the actual quarterback coach. So, as far as Caleb goes, I don't think much is going to change for him. It's just that now Thomas Brown has run up the entire team, and he's still going to have the relationship with Caleb because obviously Thomas Brown is still calling the plays, and that's going to happen and whatnot. But not much is going to change for Caleb here. Caleb's going to be fine. He's a grown man. He'll handle it. The Bears will handle it, and not much is going to change for him. It's just not. Thomas Brown is going to do what Thomas Brown has to do, and Caleb Williams will do what Caleb Williams has to do. At this point. Now, hopefully some things change on defense, because Matt Eberflus was way too soft in his defensive coverages. It was kind of annoying, all those zones and crap he played, basically letting Minnesota go down the field and win the game in overtime, and basically not understanding how to finish the game in Detroit. The defense was kind of falling off lately, so hopefully now that Eric Washington has full control of the defense, they'll find their mojo again, and we'll go back to what they were looking like at the beginning of the season. That would be nice. But this is the best case scenario. Firing Eberflus, promoting Thomas Brown to interim head coach, and giving him a 5-game audition to see if he's somebody that you can seriously consider to be your next head coach. Because it would be lovely if you could just name Thomas Brown head coach, then you don't have to worry about too much change for Caleb and whatnot. Obviously, Thomas Brown will have to hire his own staff or whatever, but if you can end up in a situation where Thomas Brown does become the next head coach, not much is going to change for Caleb and the team as a whole, so that's good. But again, the chances of that happening are slim, okay? I need y'all to calm down. Like, I love Thomas Brown. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to do well for the next 5 weeks. But realistically, the chances of him getting the job full-time next year are slim, because the history of interim head coaches becoming full-time head coaches is very grim. It's not a good look. So Thomas Brown has a lot on his plate to change that trend. And I wish him nothing but the best. I'm rooting for him. I am rooting for him. But the Bears are still going to do a thorough coaching search anyway. So we'll see what happens with that. I was beginning to wonder what the hell Kevin Warren's purpose was in the organization, right? We were talking about firing Eberflus for like the last 5 weeks. He should have been fired probably before the damn Washington game or whatever. But which game was that where he left Caleb Williams then to get hit after the game was already over with? He should have been fired that game. I don't remember which game it was, but there were 2 weeks in a row where Caleb Williams was in the game longer than what he should have been. He should have been taken out, but Eberflus left him in and he got dinged up. He didn't get injured, thankfully, but he got hit when he didn't need to get hit. Eberflus should have been fired on the spot then. But Kevin Warren, what is your job? What are you doing? Finally, he issued a statement this week, or was it yesterday, after letting go of Eberflus, talking about how he supported Ryan Poles. So is Kevin Warren there just to do the stadium? Because I don't know what Kevin Warren's job function is. What does he do? Who are you in this organization? Do you have any control? I don't know, man. I'm looking for Kevin Warren. Where are you, bro? Where you at, Kevin? Where you at, Kevin? Where you at, bro? Where you at? I don't know where you at. Ryan Poles, I was going to make a video about you, but now I'm just going to handle it here. Ryan Poles, I feel like you are a little too emotional about some of the aspects of your job as general manager of the Chicago Bears. Your first mistake and your biggest mistake maintaining Matt Eberflus for this season. And I'm guessing it was because you were emotionally attached to him. He was your boy, your friend, even though everybody told you, and the reports are that Warren and both Warren and Cunningham, his right-hand man, both of them wanted Eberflus fired in January. But Ryan Poles chose to keep him for this season. And look where that got us. Because Ryan Poles is too emotionally attached to people. When I saw that on Hard Knocks about how he was crying, having to cut Adrian Colbert, listen, Adrian Colbert is probably a beautiful human being. But why are we crying cutting Adrian Colbert? Whose roster has he actually made? He's like the 9th, 10th safety on anybody's team. You should not be crying cutting Adrian Colbert. I'm sorry. It ain't that deep. He's not a main player on your defense. He's a depth guy. He's the bottom of the roster guy. How are you crying about cutting him? So if you're that emotional about cutting Adrian Colbert, I can only imagine how you let that emotion cloud your judgment and other decisions that you make on behalf of the Chicago Bears. Let me go back to Justin Fields and the trade to Pittsburgh. So Ryan Poles traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh for a 6th-round pick, right? But there were reportedly other offers out there that he could have got a better deal for Justin Fields. But he traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh to do right by Justin. Because again, the emotional attachment. Now, listen, I'm not going to criticize him too much for wanting to do right by a player. But Ryan Poles has to remember that his number one obligation is to the Chicago Bears organization. And if there was a better deal out there for Justin Fields, but you turned it down to do right by Justin Fields, you failed in your primary job as Chicago Bears general manager. How the hell you only get a 6th pick for an NFL starting quarterback? Yes, Justin Fields wasn't the future here, but he was definitely worth more than a 6th-round pick. And reports thought you could have got more than that, but you chose not to because you wanted to do right by him? What? No, that is a GM foul. You violated the trust of the organization because you did not do right by the organization in that particular instance if those reports were true. If there were more out there for Justin Fields, but you chose to pass that up to do right by him, you failed as a general manager, period. And don't even get me started on Velus Jones Jr. My God. We found out during Hard Knocks that you had a chance to trade Velus Jones, possibly, allegedly now. We don't know if this is true or not. But allegedly, you had an opportunity to trade Velus Jones for a 4th-round pick, and you didn't even consider it. You didn't even consider it. You kept him and then cut him anyway. So you cut him, he fumbled, you bench him, you cut him off the team, and you got nothing for him. And you had a 4th-round draft pick on the table in the offseason for Velus Jones Jr. But again, because he was one of the first guys that you drafted, you were probably a little bit too emotionally attached to Velus, and you wanted to keep him and ended up getting nothing for him because you cut him anyway. This is the stuff I'm talking about with Ryan Poles. And I love me some Ryan Poles. He's done a lot more good than bad. But the bad is starting to pile up. And it all goes back, for me, it goes back to how emotional he is and how attached he is to these players. Listen, I understand wanting to maintain positive relationship with your players and your coaches and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you are still the general manager of the Chicago Bears. You have to have an ice-cold demeanor when doing business on behalf of the Chicago Bears, because in those moments, that is what's best for the organization. And there are some moves that you made, Ryan Poles, that were clearly not in the best interest of the organization. Chief among them, keeping Matt Eberflus 12 games longer than what you should have. Now, I will give you some kudos because you fired him, and there are reports that you wanted to fire him back in the Patriots game. After the Patriots game, you wanted him gone, but Jordan McCaskey might have gotten in the way. I don't know. But he should not have been the coach this season to begin with. So that's the problem I have with Ryan Poles. Eberflus should not have been the coach to begin with for this season. He should have been fired in January. But because you were so emotionally attached to him and this, that, and the other, you let him come back only to fire him anyway. So, again, I love Ryan Poles. I think the dude is great. I think he's done more good than bad. But I can't ignore that the bad is starting to pile up. Now we have a clean slate, though, kind of, because Matt Eberflus is out of there, Waldron is out of there, Thomas Brown is doing his 5-game audition thing, and we have the upcoming draft, which brings us to the next biggest fail that Ryan Poles has on his ledger, the lack of a decent offensive line. You've been here 3 years, Ryan. 3 years you've been here, and the offensive line is atrocious. It's bad. You've been bargain basement shopping on the offensive line. Why? Now, obviously, he did drafted Darnell Wright, first round pick, so that's not bargain basement. But Coleman Shelton, Nate Davis, Ryan Bates. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Matt Pryor? What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Did you go draft Kara Amagaji in the 3rd round with his injury history? Bro, you have used one solid pick on O-lineman since you've been here. One. And that was Darnell Wright. The rest of it have been bargain basement shopping. You picked Braxton Jones in the 5th round. 5th. That is bargain basement shopping for one of the most important areas of your football team, the trenches. You can't do that, especially bringing in a rookie quarterback of the caliber of Caleb Williams, and you put him behind a bargain basement offensive line, and you wonder why he leads the league in sacks. Bro, make it make sense, Ryan. Come on, man. Again, I love me some Ryan Poles. But when you're putting Caleb Williams behind a bargain basement offensive line, and you're wondering why he gets sacked some 45 times, I mean, the devils are in the detail. The devil's in the detail, bro. You didn't do enough on the offensive line. So, again, you now have a chance to kind of rectify this with the upcoming draft, Ryan Poles. You have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. And God, if my witness, 2 of them better be dedicated to the offensive line. Okay. Not 1, 2 better be dedicated to the offensive line. Your interior offensive line is ass. It's garbage. It's egregious. It is time to upgrade the interior of the offensive line. You need a center and you need a guard. Tackle, we'll deal with that later. Maybe you can get lucky in free agency. I don't know. But guard and center has to be a priority this offseason. You got the draft, Ryan Poles. You got free agency. Find a way to get it done. And for the love of God, do not bargain basement shop. If there's a top flight offensive lineman that comes available via free agency, you should be the first one jumping all over it. If you got to overpay Ryan Poles, you got to overpay. You got the money. You got the cap space. You better overpay. I don't care what it takes, son. Overpay. Do what you got to do, Ryan Poles. But stop bargain basement shopping on the offensive line trying to protect Caleb Williams. You see that's not working. It's not working. So, the other thing that we need, obviously, is an edge rusher to go alongside of Montez Sweat. You should be able to handle that in the first with one of those 3 picks. Okay. 2 of them should be linemen. The other one should probably be a defensive end, or if you got a better chance of a DT like a Mason Graham from Michigan, then I can't really fault that. Mason Graham's a beast. Because it seems like if things keep going the way they're going with the Bears might end up in a top 10 draft pick, which is ridiculous. Hopefully not, because Thomas Brown will turn the ship around before the season ends. But if not, the Bears are likely to have a top 10 draft pick. So you might have a chance of Mason Graham. You might. But if not Mason Graham, we need a defensive end alongside Montez Sweat, because we have nothing happening in our front 4. Our defensive line they're not as garbage as the offensive line, but they're not that good either. They're okay. They're okay-ish. The offensive line is garbage. The defensive line is okay-ish. So we need a defensive end to pair with Montez Sweat to get pressure on the quarterback, because you see the caliber of coaches that we are up against in the NFC North. Look at the record of your competition in the division right now. The Lions are 11-1. The Packers and the Vikings, I think, have the same record, right? Or I think the Vikings are what? 10-2? I think the Packers might be 9-3 or 10-2. Bro, they all have 9 wins or more, and then there's the Bears with 4 wins. They all have superior coaching, and they have top caliber quarterbacks. So you need to get your defense on point to rush the quarterback. Because while Minnesota might have Sam Darnold now, JJ McCarthy is coming, fam. JJ McCarthy is coming. Okay? We know about Jared Goff. Jordan Love is going to Jordan Love. And you got to get after them. You need the personnel to get after these people. So, Ryan Poles, you need to have a very aggressive draft in the trenches. Your draft needs to start and end in the trenches, Ryan Poles. We don't need skill players like that. We got skill players. We need the trenches fortified. You got to handle that, Ryan Poles. You got to handle that. All right, so we are now in a coaching search, which begins now, you all. The Bears aren't really waiting until January. The Bears are evaluating their options as of today, practically, pretty much. So, names I've heard out there as to who could be the Bears' next head coach. Ben Johnson, obviously, the offensive coordinator in Detroit. Mike Vrabel is out there. I think he's doing some type of assistant work for Brown, but he's out there. Thomas Brown, obviously, we will to see what he does over the next 5 weeks. Brian Flores, I know a lot of y'all look down on Brian Flores, but Brian Flores is a brilliant coach, and I think he'll do fine. But obviously, he's a defensive-minded head coach, and we've already had that, so we want to go more offensive-minded, so I get that. But I still like Brian Flores. Joe Brady came out of nowhere. I don't know how the hell his name got on the list of odds the other day. That really blew my mind. Joe Brady, I think, is the current offensive coordinator in Buffalo, but he just got that role last year. Josh Allen has been a stud for like the last 4 or 5 years. What is Joe Brady doing there exactly? Like, is it Joe Brady or is it Josh Allen being Josh Allen? So I don't trust the whole Joe Brady thing. I don't trust it, bro. Obviously, I talked about Bill Belichick, which I would avoid like a plague. Wouldn't be messing with him. No, thank you. Who else is out there? Todd Monken, which I mentioned earlier. Liam Cohen is out there. The college coaches are out there. So there's a lot of young coaching talent out there I think the Bears can look at, along with some of the older guys like Vrabel. Well, Vrabel's not that older, but Vrabel, Belichick. There's even talk that the 49ers may or may not part ways with Kyle Shanahan. I don't see that happening, but if that's a possibility, you definitely got to talk to him. If that were to happen, you better talk to Kyle Shanahan. That'd be crazy not to. But what we can't do is what we did do 3 years ago and pass on Dan Quinn for Matt Eberflus. Because that's what we did 3 years ago, you all. You believe it. We passed on Dan Quinn to hire Matt Eberflus. We cannot make that mistake again. We cannot do that, yo. We cannot do that. I'm sorry. It just cannot happen. That cannot happen on nobody's planet, yo. We can't do that again. So it can't happen. But the organization right now is at a crossroads because you got Caleb Williams, who is balling out of control. Even with all the turmoil around him, he is balling out of control. You got DJ Moore here for 4 years or whatever. Montez Sweat just signed a contract. Jalen Johnson just signed a contract. You got some people coming up on their contract years, like I think Jaquan Brisker, Callum Gordon, Tevin Jenkins. I think he's in a contract year. I probably wouldn't bring him back because he can't stay healthy. I mean, he's a good guard. I would bring him back if you can bring him back at a reduced rate. I would not pay full price for Tevin Jenkins because he can't stay healthy enough, and the best availability in the NFL is availability, and Tevin Jenkins gets hurt like every game. So I would not bring him back. Also, you got to start thinking about Jaquan Brisker and his concussion issue. You might have to go out there and draft a safety at some point in the draft. I would. I mean, he's missing like what, 5-6 games now because of the concussion? So you got to think about drafting a strong safety apparently now. So you got all these things that are coming up and your window of opportunity is here. I would say as long as Caleb Williams is on his rookie contract, the Bears are in a Super Bowl window because Caleb Williams is the type of quarterback that can get you to and win the Super Bowl, which means you got about 4 years before you have to pay him max dollars. And by the time he gets to his max dollars contract, you're going to be talking north of $70 million a year. It's going to be something insane. So you better take advantage of this run while you got it, because once you have to pay Caleb, good luck with that. Good luck with that, because he's going to command a high dollar amount. So you better take advantage of the Super Bowl window while you have it for the next 4 years, Ryan Poles. That means you got to be on point with all your moves. This head coaching hire has to be on point. The players that you draft, on point. Whatever free agent that you bring in, they all got to be on point. You do not have time to waste anymore. The rebuild is over. Now you got to fortify your rebuild. You done rebuilt already. The foundation is in place. Now it's time to fortify the rebuild. You got to fortify what you got in place, and it's time to go attack the playoff and win a Super Bowl in these next 4 years because your window is open. Can you do it, Ryan? I got faith in you, but you've been making some crazy moves lately, and I'm looking at you hard, Ryan Poles, but I still got faith in you, bro. Other people out there are not, they want you fired. I don't want you fired, Ryan Poles, because you've done more good than bad, even though you've done a lot of bad lately, but you've done more good than bad. I don't want you fired, Ryan. But damn it, I need you at the top of your game, Ryan Poles. I mean, you cannot miss Ryan Poles. That's how bad it is. You cannot miss my guy. You've been in the job for 3 years, Ryan. You have taken your lump. You've learned what you should do. You learned what you shouldn't do. Now it's time to take that knowledge and go out there and ball out and make them the best GM decisions you've ever made in your life. Failure is not an option, Ryan, because you're not going to get a second chance. If you mess this up, Ryan, you will not be a GM in the league anymore. You know how GM go. You get one GM gig in this league, and you're done. You're back to being somebody's assistant. So you better nail this while you got it, Ryan, because this is the best position that you're going to be in. So you better take advantage of it, my guy. You better take advantage because it's all out there in front of you. You went out there, you got the quarterback that you coveted. Everybody coveted Caleb Williams, Ryan, but you got him. Because of some savvy dealing by you, you got Caleb Williams. So now that you got Caleb Williams, you got to go put pieces around him to make this team successful in an annual playoff contender. The Bears should be in the playoffs every year. That's how much talent we have. We should be in the playoffs yearly. Obviously, this year's a bust. But starting next year, we should be in the playoffs every year. But Ryan Poles, that cannot happen unless you make the necessary move to put this team in position to be in the playoffs every single year. And they should be. And they can be. But you got to make it happen, Ryan. You and Ian. Now, we might lose Ian this year because eventually Ian's going to get a GM job. But you better take advantage of Ian while you have him. But it's time to go, Ryan Poles. It's time to go out there and do this work. I got faith in you, man. And Kevin Warren, get the damn stadium done, bro. Get the damn stadium done. What are you doing over there? I still don't know what you're doing, Kevin Warren. What are you doing? Your whole thing is to get the stadium built. Get it done, Kevin. Let's go, bro. What are you doing? What is your job? What are you doing over there, my guy? What are you doing? Please tell me, do something. Show me something, Kevin Warren. Show me something, okay? Because until now, I'm not impressed, Kevin Warren. I'm not impressed. So show me what's going on with you. Show me what you're doing, Kevin Warren. Show me what you are doing. Thank you. Show me, please. All right. I think I've been talking to myself for like the past 40 minutes. It's cool. Like I said, this live stream is going to be available for replay, I think. And, I do plan on doing live streams often on the channel because there's a lot of Bears stuff to talk about. The Bears are 24/7, 365 gig, man. I don't know if I'm going to be available that much, but I'm going to try to be as available as I can to talk all things Bears with you. Again, this is Bears Yard, your home for opinionated Bears talk here with your boy Vipe. Appreciate those of y'all who find this live stream and listen to it for the 43 minutes that I've been live tonight or whatever. Whenever you get around to listening to this, I appreciate you listening. But you can find me on Twitter at Bears Yard. Hit me up. My main account is in the bio of that account. So if you want to talk to me directly, just go check the bio for Bears Yard on Twitter. You'll find out. You'll find me. I'm always around. You'll find me. But anyway, y'all have a good weekend and bear down.